Hi, this is Pete Madsen for Acoustic Guitar, and I'm here to present my weekly workout lesson on playing slide in standard tuning. I wasn't going to talk too much about technique and stuff, but I figure since we are talking about slide guitar, a couple pointers are probably good to point out right here. You have decisions to make as far as what finger to put your slide on. I normally put it on my pinky. A lot of people like to put it on their ring finger. You might notice I'm using a brass slide. For acoustic guitar playing, I recommend a slide that has a little bit of a weight, a little mass to it. Helps you get a better sound with the extra weight. You get more volume, more sustain. But given that, if you're just getting into slide, having a few different slides to choose from and check out, see what works for you. You want something that fits pretty well, that not too snug, but it's not too loose. In this particular lesson, we'll be working on playing single note, single string slide ideas, which don't demand that you have a super long slide. If you were playing in open tuning and you want to make a full chord, you'd want a slide that's long enough to cover all the strings. So just keep these things in mind. If you're new to slide, you'll want to check out a few different types of slides, a few different materials. There's glass, brass, steel, ceramic. Those are the sort of the big ones. There's other things like copper and stuff that you can use, but again, I would recommend for acoustic guitar something with a little weight, a little mass to it to get a better sound. Now today we're going to be playing slide as an accompaniment to a 12-bar blues in the key of G. So to start off with, I'm going to take my slide off, and I'm just going to show you some of the chords that we're going to be using. And here's a critical element to this particular lesson. We're going to be playing slide, picking out chord tones, notes from the three chords, G, C, and D that we're playing. So first off, I want to just locate chords within a given fret range that are going to work for me here. So I'm going to, since this is a key of G, I'm going to pick a typical bar chord G, and then I can turn that into a G7 by simply moving my pinky from the original position to the second string, 6th fret. So that's my G chord. In the key of G, we're going to play one chord, a 4 chord, and a 5 chord. So in the key of G, the 1 chord is G. The 4 chord would be C or C7. And the 5 chord would be D7. I'm going to go through all those chords in the various weeks we're talking about. So you'll see a little bit more about the actual chord shapes and notes I'll be playing within those chord shapes. When you're beginning a slide, it can be a struggle to make a good sound. And believe me, everybody does it. They struggle with that. For instance, if I was going to play a G triad and I wanted to just use my slide but not do any damping, it might sound like this, which is not a very good sound. So you got to learn to damp the strings. I rest my first finger behind my slide with basically holding my hand like this, cupping the slide as it were. These two fingers, the ring finger and middle finger, are pretty much resting on top of the slide, and the index finger is along the same line as the slide, so that it rests on the string below the fret where the slide is, and it helps me keep things in control. Now, when I'm moving from string to string, I will actually lift the slide off, but keep my damping finger down. If I don't do that, I get this. It's like an errant pull-off. Not a good sound. Sometimes things like that can sound pretty good, but here it doesn't sound good. So we want to go lift the slide off, keep the damping finger down, reposition my slide, lift off. So in the beginning exercises, you look at it in week 1. Think about that. Slide into your note, lift off, keep damping finger down. Lift off, keep damping finger down. And if you can like work on getting that up to speed, it's a more subtle movement. It's those little, you're not yanking the slide way off. You're just keeping it a little bit off. Another aspect about slide playing I should talk about is vibrato. Vibrato is a little tricky too. A teacher I had once said, when you're playing slide guitar, there are 3 points of contact. There's your slide, obviously, your damping finger, which is resting behind, and your thumb, which should be resting in the back of the guitar. This is going to help you with vibrato. If I say I want to vibrato this note, this F note, you might see my left hand or my hand is sliding back and forth. My thumb is stationary. This gives me a pivot point for where to work my vibrato. And the vibrato itself, I pull flat of the note and then return to the actual pitch. I don't go past it. I don't go sharp of the note. It sounds a little wild, wacky, cartoony, whereas this sounds a little more bluesy. You should start off slowly, and then you can speed it up, and you can even in the context of one note speed up the vibrato as you go. Or you can start off quickly and slide out of that note. So for week 1, we're going to start off with our G chord. This is example 1, just a bar chord G, and then a smaller version of that bar chord G. Instead of barring all 6 strings, I'm only going to bar the top 2 strings, middle finger on the 3rd string, ring finger on the 4th string, and that's a G triad. These smaller versions of the chords are a little bit better for our solo slide playing. We don't really want to use the full version of the 6th chord. Not that we can't, but we're going to limit it a little bit. G7, as I described, you put your pinky on the 2nd string 6th fret. The smaller version of the G7 chord, I'll bar 4 strings, middle finger on the 3rd string 4th fret, and pinky on the 2nd string 6th fret. So G, smaller version of G. G7, smaller version of G7. In example 2, I'm just going to slide into the notes of the G major chord from 1 fret below. So if you're new to slide, you want to direct your slide to right over the fret wire, not in between the fret. If you go in between the fret, this is a tricky thing about slide, but also the really nice thing about slide is you get all these microtones. So to get the proper intonation, to get the G note, you want to be right over the fret wire. So I slide into the 5th fret from the 4th fret on the 4th string, slide into the 4th fret from the 3rd fret on the 3rd string, from the 2nd fret to the 3rd fret on the 2nd string, and from the 2nd fret to the 3rd fret on the 1st string. Example 3, I'm going to do the same thing, but I'm going to outline the G7 chord. You'll notice I'm still sliding from 1 fret below to 1 fret above, and then on that last one, I'm going from the third fret on the second string up to the sixth fret on the second string. I could also slide from one fret below. Or longer slides, shorter slides, distance magnifies error kind of thing. So if you do a longer slide, you might need to practice that, just getting your feel. I should also mention, in particular for acoustic slide, I have a finger that lays behind my slide that I use as a damping finger to damp the sound. Any sizzly or crackly sounds, stuff I'm trying to eliminate that doesn't sound good. So remember that, kind of I hold my hand like this, I call it a flipper. I'm got all my fingers kind of conjoined together. Actually, these two fingers are resting on top of the slide, and the index finger is on the string. Example 4, I'm going to play a lick based on this chord shape. So here's example 4. Second string, which is the fifth of the chord, that's a D. Slide from 3 to 4, B, which is the third, and then 3, 5, 3, the flat 7, root, flat 7. Now, just because I've decided I'm going to use this chord shape as my template or framework for my solo, I don't have to just stick to that. Anybody who knows a G chord also knows this open position G chord. So I can use open strings on the fourth, third, and second string. So in example 5, I'm using the open strings, the open fourth, D string, open third string, then slide up the fourth fret on that third string, and landing on the D note on the second string, third fret. Example 6. Using the higher notes here on the second and first string, sliding from the second fret to the third fret, going up to the third string, and then fourth string, fifth fret, the root note. Example 7. One of the techniques I like is backsliding. In other words, sliding backwards from the fourth fret to the third fret. Very harmonica-like sound. Kind of the way Duane Allman would phrase a lot of his slide playing. So doing that slide backwards from 4 to 3, play the second string, third fret, and then slide up to the 6th fret, the flatted 7th.